Welcome back to Shane's DIY. Today's project, we're going to install this pole mount for our Starlink dish on the RV. We're going to use a Starlink pole mount and some clamps we got from TKO Clamping Systems. Let's get started. Alright, let's see what kind of parts we got to work with today for this project. We have our Starlink pole mount kit. Now they've designed this to be mounted in the ground if you don't have the ability to put it on your roof, or there's not clearance, you've got obstructions on your roof, something like that, so you can concrete this pole in the ground. I've decided to use this as the RV mount in lieu of a flagpole, or I know there's Harbor Freight extendable flagpoles. There's dozens of them on Amazon that you can get. I was a little concerned about the strength of those poles. They're only designed for flags. I've read some reviews that they can get kind of wobbly. If you needed to go that high with your dish, I think at that extended length, I think you would be way at risk for the pole bending over and breaking, because that dish is, you know, considerably heavier than a flag. So I went with this pole, and I think it's going to work well. It'll get it up above the RV, you know, several feet. So I think it's plenty. I mean, if you're parked in a bunch of trees where you've got obstructions, you're going to have to move your truck, because I don't think, you know, even if you got a flagpole, you're going to have to get it quite a bit high to get above trees, and I think you're going to be having some other trouble with that if you try to do that. So let's take a look at this pole mount. This is $55 off of the Starlink website, and it already has the pole mount to it for the dish. If you get the flagpole, you got to buy the flagpole, and those are anywhere from, you know, 60 or 70 bucks for a Harbor Freight one. I've seen them, you know, up over $100. So you got to get that. Then you'd also have to buy the mount. There's a lot of people that have built their own mounts that you can buy off of Etsy and different places online that you get attached to that. Starlink even has a pole mount adapter that you can put on just about any pole up to, I think it's 2.5 inches in diameter. But then you got the cost for that, you got the cost for the pole. This is a one-time purchase that has the pole mount, the pole, the mount, and everything that you can just attach to your ladder, that I think will get it far enough above the RV to do a good job. And then, of course, the clamps, we'll get into that, but let's take a look at this pole mount first. First observation, very solid pole, very heavy duty. Pull the other one out. I don't know if that's everything or what. This pole with the hole in it, which is where your wire would come out, is tapered. It's very subtle, so you don't really see it, but that slides into that. There's a little hole there. They don't give you any hardware with it, but you could put your own screw. You could put a self-tapping screw or something in there that would keep it together, or just with the mere taper, I'm sure it will lock together pretty securely. And then that top mount there, it does have a specific shape to it, so I'm sure the Starlink dish little mount will snap onto that and then lock into that. We'll take a look at that in a bit. So here's a magnet. It is definitely steel. The magnet sticks to it. So there's our pole, and as you can see, it is pretty high. I mean, it's designed to mount down into concrete, so as we're putting this on the RV, we'll be able to get that quite a bit above the RV, so plenty high. And if you didn't need that much height, you could actually get rid of this lower section and just mount this top part up above your RV if you didn't need all that length. So now let's take a look at the TKO clamps. This is kind of the key component. Now, I've seen a number of these clamps as well. There's different companies that have them. If you look, you'll see a lot of videos, a lot of plastic ones. These clamps are a very high quality machined aluminum. This company's got a lot of different clamps they've come up with. They started out doing some hose clamps for your vehicle. They've gotten into mounts for GoPros and things like that on your side-by-side off-road vehicles. Different kinds of mounts for just about anything you can think of. And if you've got an idea, you can contact them, and they'll pretty much make whatever you need in any size for any diameter. We'll get into the specifics on these mounts, because they gave me several options when I was talking to them. Ones you could permanently bolt onto your to your ladder. These, I don't know, I kind of call them a quick release. They had another name for it. This is kind of their standard clamp that's got a retaining screw. I'll give you some close-ups of these in a bit as we're putting them on the ladder. But the permanent ones, you'd have to leave them on there. I was a little unsure about leaving them on there. I didn't want somebody to steal them. And I wasn't certainly going to leave the dish on the RV while I'm driving around, of course, so I wanted to be able to pull them off. But these are pretty sweet. So these have a, it's a adjustable circumference within a certain range that you can adjust to fine-tune it, and then you can snap it on, and then there's a retaining screw that keeps them from being easily popped off from somebody walking by. So they kind of give you the best of both worlds for a quick release as well as the security of that screw. And we'll see how it works without that retaining screw if you didn't need that. If you're just going to be camping for a couple of days or a day and you didn't really, in an area where you were worried about somebody taking them, you may not even need to use that little retaining clip if it'll snap together securely and stay. So we'll take a closer look at that. But basically, however your ladder is, the diameter, you can get a custom inner size to fit your ladder. Now these are for round ladders. I know I've seen a couple of square ladders on RVs. We'll have to talk to them about options for that. I assume they could machine out anything you needed, but I'm curious if they've come up with something yet for the square ladders. I don't see it on their website, and they didn't mention it when we were talking just because I didn't have a square ladder anyway, so it wasn't really a question. And then the larger size will fit any size tube up to a certain, I think it's 2.5 or more inches. A little bit later in the video, we'll take a look at the options on their website. But and they also give you these little liners to go around it. That's to protect your ladder or your pole from any marring, from if there's any movement from wind or anything. Plus, it takes out the slack and it helps it to clamp really securely onto your bar and not slide up and down at all. But they gave me an assortment of different sizes for that, for the small diameter clamp as well as the larger diameter clamp. But I got this one specifically sized to fit that Starlink pole and my ladder. So, and as you can see, there's a little awl thread that connects these two halves together, so they can put these two-part clamps in whatever size you need for your application. So, really nice, very high-quality machined aluminum. Very impressed. These guys have been winning awards. They've been to the SEMA show in Las Vegas. That's the big aftermarket show. They've won all kinds of awards for their products. But pretty impressive stuff. If you're interested in these, go to their website. There'll be a link in the description below. And use for tracking purposes, use the coupon code DIY, just so they know you heard about them from this YouTube video, and then they can keep track of that. Let's get a close-up look at these clamps. So here's your TKO clamp. This is the flagpole mount clamp that they have. And all you need is a Phillips screwdriver that adjusts the circumference adjustment as well as this locking clip. So you unscrew that, pull that screw out, don't have to lose it. And then when you get it around your pole, you wrap it around your pole. You've got your liner in there if needed. I guess if you didn't worry about scratching your pole, you could leave that out, but this is going to, I think, make it a lot tighter and snugger, and it's going to give you that little buffer. But you can see the little locking, I don't know, I'll call it a little cam lock that you get it around there, and then you lock that in. And I think if you had it adjusted tight enough, that would stay pretty secure. And then if needed, then you put that other little retaining screw into there and lock it in. I'm going to see how tight it is without that lock and see how big a deal it would be to leave that out. It's not a big deal to put that in there even if you didn't get it super tight. Be just nice to have that secure, that way if the wind blew and jiggled it, it wouldn't accidentally pop off. Same setup on the other end, but yeah, we'll look at the website a little later and show the different options, but they describe all the different options you can get, and it's totally customizable for each side and for size and clamp type. Alright, let me show you how this clamp works. So here's the button, and that's the retaining clip that usually goes in the pole up on the roof. The new pole has a little cutout right there, or push out section that allows that little thing to lock into. That little pin there just, I think, helps to guide it into that groove under there to keep it straight. So that slides into there. That keeps it from twisting. Yeah, so when you get it up in there, it can't twist. So you get the little groove on the bottom, and then it fits really snugly. And you slide that up, and it locks into place. So there's a little bit of play in it, a little bit of wiggle. Not enough to be an issue. Very secure, very heavy duty. So to get it off, you just push that button down and pull it back out again. Alright, so let's take a look at the TKO Clamping website. Here I'm on the Starlink RV Flagpole Adapters webpage. $80 cost for those. That's for a pair. You get 2 clamps with that. But you just you can specify your ladder size. For mine, I went with the 1-inch ladder size, and the Starlink pole mount is 2-inch, so I went with that. But it looks like you can pick anywhere from 1.5 inches all the way up to 2.5 inches for the flagpole size. And I suspect if you've got some other oddball size of a pole you want to mount to, they could probably come up with any clamp you need. Just give them a call or email them. For the ladder size, they've got in here anywhere from 3/4 inch up to 1.5 inches. Likewise, I think you could get just about any size on both ends, and they screw together. So I mean, really, you could get 2 flagpole sized ones and screw them together, I suppose. So you got a pretty broad range of clamps you can put together for this. And then I was talking about the different clamps. So the ones I got are these standard clamps here. The HD or the heavy duty clamps are basically a 2-piece clamp that you can screw together. It's got screws on either side of it that it permanently attaches it to your thing, and you would have to have a tool to get it off. But then you can pick whichever size or whatever type of clamp you want on either side. So you can have, you know, the HD to HD, HD to standard, standard to HD, standard to standard, which is what I've got. And I'll show you the options. I went with the Starlink. I did this ground pole mount, it's called. It was $55, so basically, you know, it's just a straight pole. You get 2 pieces. The top just snaps right into the thing that I showed you. Outer to diameter. Okay, so the outer diameter is 1.88 inches. I went with the 2-inch, and then with those shim little rubber adapters that fit perfectly for that. So anyway, so that's what you got there. If you chose to, you know, if you didn't want to go that route and you wanted the expandable flagpole, they do use the example of the Harbor Freight one. That's this one here. It goes all the way up to 20 foot, but like I said in my review, this is aluminum. I wouldn't suggest going all the way up with it if you're going to try to put a, you know, the dish on the top. I think that'd get awfully wobbly, so be careful with that. There's that. If you do go with this Harbor Freight flagpole mount, you've then got to use some other adapter. Starlink has one that you could use. Let me show you that one real quick. They've got this pole mount right here, this pipe adapter. You can put it on just about any pipe. Looks like max diameter up to 2.5 inches here, that you can snap that on. That's $37. But see, you got that price, then you got the flagpole. I just don't think you get as good a quality result out of that as you would with just going with the Starlink pipe mount. If you don't use this pipe adapter, the other ones I saw on like Etsy and stuff were pretty similarly priced. So, you know, you're going to be up in that price range anyway. And they were like, I saw some 3D printed ones, some machine ones out of plastic. This one I think is metal. I don't have this one, so I don't know. But anyway, I'm definitely happy with the Starlink pole mount system that I went with. This one here, this ground pole mount. But for $55, I think it's a pretty good price. Anyway, so you can see some of their other products on the TKO GoPro mounts, cell phone mounts, fire extinguisher mounts, I think. All kinds of different stuff that you've got. So yeah, definitely take a look and around and see what they've got for your off-road stuff, RVs, side-by-sides, all that kind of thing. But anyway, let's get back to the installation. So let's go get them mounted up on the RV. We'll take a look and see how securely they fit and give them a good review. All right, before I get the pole up on top of the ladder and try to mount that, I'm going to demonstrate the mounting method of the clamp directly to the pole right here, where I can get the camera easily set up to show it close up, because it's going to be too hard to set up the camera, 6 feet up in the air. So, because you got quite a bit of adjustment to this clamp here as you move this up and down there. So let me, so you basically wrap it around the clamp, or wrap it around your ladder, and then you can lock in the clamp. I assume that you're supposed to just put it on like that, and then you can snug it down with this screw. So I can get it really tight. If I wanted to just pop that off, you could. So let's see if with it adjusted like that, how hard it would be to reclamp it. So yeah, you could pop it back on. All right, what I decided I'm going to do is mount the pole down lower where I can reach it easier, and then I'll move it up once I get it attached to the big parts of the pole, and I can just pop these off, attach the small ones back up to the ladder up above, because these larger ones can stay attached to the pole permanently. Get some slack in that. Oops, I took the screw out too far. Run that back in. Yeah, it fits great with the liner on here. Plenty of room to work with. So not super tight yet, but I'm just going to leave that there while I get the other clamp ready. I'll give you some better close-ups in a minute, but I just had my phone out in the sun and my camera, and it turned off because it overheated. Even though it's not middle of summer out here, it's just too hot for the camera, and it only runs for a couple of minutes if I put it in the sun, so I had to put you in the shade over there. So I've just noticed that my ladder at the top bows out, so I don't know how that's going to work with this, but I may have to make some adjustments. But the way that these will articulate should let me adjust that for that angle and get it popped on there. So I'm going to ouch. So the articulation will slide, so keep an eye on it when you do that. You bonk yourself on the head. I should have put the two small ones on first and got those anchored already on. I didn't really think that out very well. That's very secure once it's on there. You should get them all lined up. Try not to bonk yourself in the head. Alright, so let me move the pole up. We'll put the top pole on it, snap the Starlink dish to the top of it, see how she looks. So that's probably how I'll leave it, is with these bigger clamps attached to the pole, and then these I can just snap on and off to my ladder when I'm ready to go. I can do this without falling. Alright, we got that one snapped. Yeah, so I could easily leave that up there. I definitely want to put the retaining clips in there so it didn't pop off en route, but that keeps it below the air conditioners and everything up top, so my total height isn't affected, and that wouldn't go anywhere. So it's very secure to the ladder. I'll bring the camera up here and show you that movement I'm getting is actually the ladder itself is not strong enough. There's a little bit of flex in the ladder itself, but this pole is super stiff, so this isn't moving. So I guess that goes without saying. Make sure your ladder is strong enough to hold this stuff. But I mean, in my opinion, this is plenty high enough. So I could even lower that down quite easily if I didn't need it that tall. If I didn't have any trees around or obstructions, you could drop this down. You really only needed about, just a foot off the top of the RV. But yeah, this is fantastic. But there's your clamps, the way they're attached. I don't have the retaining screw in that one right now, but that center is the all thread where it'll articulate, and you can rotate them. And then that's where I've got the, if I can get out of the sun. And I do have the retaining screws in the opposite side of that clamp. But so you can see that's where I've got them tied together. There's the upper one. Very solid, very secure mounts. And then you can adjust that up or down as needed. So we've got the dish here, mounted securely to the pole mount. And I'll see if I can get a good angle on that pole down there. But you can see my ladder. The ladder itself is what's moving. The pole and the dish, any of that stuff's not doing anything. The clamps are solid. But my ladder itself, that thin aluminum, isn't very solid. You could tweak that a little bit, move the clamps around to get some better stiffness, but overall that is awesome. I like that the pole is solid. The pole is not going to bend, as long as your ladder is not going to bend or break off. But that is cool, and those mounts are great. There you have it. Nice pole mount, gets it well above. This is my head height, so this is total height right now. This is probably about 6 foot tall above the RV. In my opinion, plenty high enough above the rig to clear most obstacles. I mean, I'm out in the desert right now, so there's no trees or anything, but if you're in the forest and you got that many trees around you that's not high enough, you probably need to move your rig if you want to get your internet. But all right, thanks for watching. Links are below in the description. Remember to use the coupon code DIY if you go to the TKO website and order anything. Let them know where you heard about them, and appreciate you watching. Have a good day.